In this video, we're going to be looking at the bee box blowing up, watermelons starting to grow, and pumpkins looking great. We're also going to find out about how smelly is compost and does it really actually have to smell? Why not? Here we go. We are out here for part 2 of the monthly garden tour, the outer garden beds of the backyard. And we're going to be looking at some of the things that are going on and what's not going on, what's fading, what's coming in, and a few things that just really are amazing. We did talk about the weather at the beginning of the last part, which is the first part, the front and side garden tour that we do every month. This is my own personal journal of everything going on in the garden, of course, and I refer to these frequently. So when you see the link up in the upper right hand corner that says there's a link down below, look down in that timestamp index and you'll see there's more links, more information to this video than is just inside the video, because I use these as my own garden journal. I refer to them all the time. They have to be useful for me, so you're welcome to follow along and join me in all that usefulness. We appreciate every one of you coming along and watching. I have so much fun making these. I enjoy watching garden tours and seeing what other people are doing. Sometimes we get inspiration. Sometimes we just enjoy watching the green. And I know Catherine's garden and home, she shows her beautiful green and flowery gardens, and it's just amazing to watch. Gives me ideas. Her garden is nothing like mine, but wow, I would like to do, there's something I need to get in my garden. So even though she's way up in the New England area, I can still get ideas here in Destin, Florida. Well, let's get right on with this garden tour. Of course, we're going to have the garden GPS in the corner here to where you can tell where in the garden we are, in the outer beds of the backyard. And of course, we always start in the same place. We start here with the blackberry trellis underneath the pomegranates, and you saw the pomegranates in the top of the frame just now. They are coming along strong. This one that I bagged, it's got a soft spot right there, but still a lot of good. That thing is really ready to harvest. I'm going to be harvesting some of these. I have yet another trip coming up in a few days, and I'm going to be out of the garden for a little bit longer, which is why I am trying to get through these garden tours, because I don't want what happened last month to happen this month. Blackberries are looking faded. These are the old blackberry vines. There's some new ones growing in here, and I'm going to have to decide here pretty soon about what we're going to do, what we're going to keep, what we're going to take out. I can tell you, like if you look here at this vine right here, it's the big vine that grew blackberries this year, goes all the way over here, comes down, goes across over there. It's an old vine. You can see it's darker color. It has done its job this year. It has all kinds of blackberries in it that have faded. We did miss the blackberry harvest this year because we traveled a lot this year so far. So I kind of had a little bit of struggle with that, and the birds got to eat very well this year. So that's okay. At least they went to a good cause. So the blackberries will be getting trimmed probably next month, and well, maybe this month, maybe later this month, and we'll have a video on how to trim the blackberries. It's so very important. Those pomegranate trees are just looking beautiful. You notice I did a lot of trimming back of the suckers on the bottom. We had our special guest come through here, and I felt the pressure on to make sure everything looked good, and I was inspired to come through and take the suckers off of all the pomegranate trees. I'm so excited. Well, not that first one in the front yard, in case you saw that one. Yes, there's a link up there to the front and side garden tour. Anyway, we're going right along here. These pomegranates are looking amazing, and we will be harvesting some of these. They are huge this year. Interestingly enough, they are biggest on the trees that I did better pruning of those suckers on the bottom. I need to start making a better habit of cutting those suckers and letting the tree focus on what it needs to. And of course, we have our prehistoric little lizards that are just all through the garden. We do have our Everglades tomato plants, and this thing is coming up everywhere. It looks like it has grown up, gone up to the top there, and looped itself back around over to here. I still don't see any buds on it. I thought I had buds on this one, but it hadn't happened. I'm just waiting to see what happens with these. This thing actually would have been taller than the pomegranate tree it's growing in if it had grown up straight. Interesting. It curved itself over, and it's found its own new way. Everglades are great for the south down here. They're an understory plant. They grow tomatoes galore when they start developing, but we are having a little bit of a heat wave And they tend to do this during the summer. Another pomegranate tree, of course. This one has an Everglades on it, and it's not doing that great because it's just not getting any sun back on this shady side. We're talking about these blackberry vines. I do want to show you. See this nice green blackberry vine? This is a brand new blackberry vine. And we are going to be cultivating these more as the season comes along. Because this is a brand new blackberry vine, I do want to keep an eye on these. Now, it did fold there, but that's okay. These blackberry vines are pretty tough. I will actually be feeding these things through the trellis so that they will have support and grow out for next year. Now, these things here, this is going to be the vine that produces the blackberries for next year. And so if I get this thing right now and get it going in the good direction, then it will be strong for next year. Now, you'll notice the tip broke off right here. Can you see that? The tip broke off, but there's already starting a new growth right there. The hormones that were going out that tip are right here, and this thing will take off. You can see there's brand new leaves growing right there. That's a new growth. Now this one here, this has had its blackberries. It's done. This is a second year cane. We'll eventually be trimming all of these out so that these things can thrive. Now this pomegranate underneath the magnolia tree, you can see it still has flowers coming out on it. It's a little bit late in development. It always has been a little bit late. And we're having pomegranates on here, though they're not nearly as big. And so, and the birds are getting to them, and that's okay because I would probably leave these on there anyway. Looking up in the tree, I can't really see any big pomegranates growing. I can see there's a small one way up there on the top of the frame. I don't see much on here. That second, this is the fourth pomegranate. That second pomegranate is the one I've spent most of the time taking care of and getting rid of those suckers. Past the pomegranate, of course, we have the back of the blueberries. We saw the blueberries in the end of the front and side garden tour. We have so much green growth in here. I am hoping that next year these things will be just taking off and giving us tons and tons of blueberries. We took out a lot of old woody growth from here. In fact, you can see over here, this is the kind of thing we took out. You can see these two. This one here on the left is looking even worse. That would have been the kind that I took out. However, you'll notice it's supporting a lot of new growth that I believe is going to be producing next year. Look at that beautiful tree. Okay, yes, I know it's not a tree, it's a bush. This is a tree. This is our massive southern magnolia tree on the north end of the backyard. This thing is beautiful looking. It's a strong tree. I keep an eye on it. I always try to keep these lower branches trimmed that come out in this section, and they've gotten a little big this year. I don't do it every year. I will trim it once every few years. I need to get up there with my pole saw and trim that particular branch before it gets much bigger, and I can't trim it. And of course, we haven't done much with the Cathedraloupe. Down here in the garden bed, get it? Bed. Okay, in the garden bed, I actually did plant 2 more rosemary plants. Remember we had that video? Oh, there's that link in the upper right hand corner. We had that video where we took 54 rosemary cuttings, 45 of them survived, and we are starting to plant them out in various places, partially to get them growing everywhere because they help with mosquitoes and other pests. Also, I just want to see how they grow in different places. And of course, that leads us past the Cathedraloupe. It's an arch trellis shaped like a cathedral that I thought I was going to grow cantaloupe on. That's a mouthful. Okay, moving right along, we have our meadow area, and of course, the star of the meadow area, we're going to get to the bee box up there. The comfrey, look at this big old comfrey here. We're going to be digging out one of these comfrey here in the next few weeks, and we're going to be trying to propagate those. We've been talking a lot about propagation, and so many things can be propagated. Now this right here, of course, is our Biden's alba. This one here is almost spent. This one on the left is brand new, but it makes these little white and yellow flowers that the bees absolutely love. So I'm sitting there editing this video, and I realize I have not put in irrigation in that mint plant over there yet, and I need to get it in there. So I even took my bow tie off because it had red in it, because I'm going by the bees. I've never seen that many bees on this thing before. I have a tube down here I'm going to just tap into real quick. Keep an eye on those bees for me while I do this. Let me know if any of them stray this way. So I've got a water line right here. I'm going to punch a hole in if I can. All right, we got a hole in there. So I've determined how long a piece I need. I forgot a piece though. I gotta get another little coupler. Now folks, these little blue things are pretty clever. Look at this. It has a little holder on the end of this for these little couplers so you can push it into the tube with. So once you get it in there, this thing goes like that, and I can use this to push it into the water line. I know this is a little haphazard. I am keeping an eye on the bees. They are looking active. I gotta find that little hole I made in here. There it is right there. If I can get this brick underneath it, it'll work better. It works, it's in there. Now all I have to do is string this thing up here. I did bring a little stake for this. And now, this mint plant will get the water it needs. I really messed that up, didn't I? Okay, good mint. You just keep running going. And the bees are none the wiser. There's a mint bag down there, and I've got to make sure that things like this, Biden's alba, and Biden's alba, yes, it's a weed, but we got to make sure things like this do not crowd out that mint plant too very much, and they're very easy to pull up if we need to. And I pull these up. A lot of times I just drop them. We have our Asiatic orchid, ground orchid right here that's coming up strong. Looks like I thought that was an Asiatic, but I think that over there is a palm tree coming out. And we are standing in the path of the bee box. And yes, the bee box is nuts. It is so active. I have never seen a bee box this full. Just so amazed. Of course, Jeff came out and checked on it. Jeff Chesser over at Local Destin Honey. This is his box and he takes care of this. I think those bricks on the top have been moved. He may have been by to check on it. He has freedom to come and go as he needs to see how things are going. But you see how there's just caking on there. Let me just zoom in a little bit here so you can see just how many bees there are. And yes, they have made a beard on the bottom down there next to that tray that goes in. And they really are loving life as big as they are getting. The swarm is amazing. This is the box that swarmed, folks. This is the box where most of the bees left with the old queen. The new queen took over and she is strong. How amazing does that look? So we're here in the meadow area. There's another Comfrey right there. I don't want to get too close to the bee box, though I have been very close. We got a whole bunch of elephant ears back there. Those are not the edible kind, unfortunately. And we come around here to our fig trees. And I'm going to go over there where I can get out of this path of the bees and show you the fig trees. So I'm standing behind the bee box. There's not much going on back here. But as we turn over here, we see our two fig trees. These are what I call my Perkins figs. They're from a friend that let me trim his tree, and I actually butchered it, but I did get a few trees out of the cuttings that I took, and his tree has recovered a number of years later. But this thing is looking amazingly beautiful. The thing I'm most impressed with is we have almost no rust this year. It's July, it's the heat of the middle of July, and this thing looks so beautiful. The heat has really made a huge difference on it. And of course the loquat trees, we have the hedge of 5 trees. We trimmed this first one off just last month right there, and these things are going to take off. I really think that next year we're going to be having blooms and fruit on these. This is actually how I have to get in behind the bee box, is walk along this fence. It's a little bit difficult. But these things, these loquats, they are evergreens. They are like this year-round, and they are beautiful trees. They're kind of a hedge across here along part of the property line back here. And of course that takes us around to our lemon trees over here. I do need to get some care in here. I'm really kind of letting these branches take off and get stronger and figure out which ones I want to live. I think we're going to end up with 3 branches on this lemon tree. You can see the thorns on these. These are real Meyer lemon trees. Oh, look at those thorns. Those are hurt. Got to be careful. There's another tree there in the big, huge pot that I'm trying to work on as well, but they're coming right along. We did have one bud on there that started developing the fruit and disappeared before it got much more than about a 1/4 inch across. Of course, the watermelon patch is growing right along. It doesn't look like much, but folks, I tell you what, we had our special guest out here, and it took us a whole 3 minutes to find the watermelon. And of course there is one right over there. That one right there. There's one watermelon that looks pretty good until you find, look at this guy right here. Oh my goodness, look at that watermelon. And there's a tendril right here that we're going to watch. Now it's not very big, and I noticed this tendril looks like it got bitten off. So I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to tell when that thing is ready or not. Hopefully this tendril will still turn brown. When the tendril that is right on that watermelon turns brown, that's when the watermelon is supposed to be ready. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully the rats won't get it before I do. I do need to move a mint tree in here. Oh my goodness, look at this comfrey plant just deciding to give up life. That may be the comfrey plant that I dig up. I did some abuse to this one already. I want to be able to dig one of these plants up, propagate out a bunch more. I will put one more propagation back so that it will grow again. I do see a lot of new growth in there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. The watermelon, yes, the watermelon looks great. We did harvest our last 2 brown turkey figs, and I was so excited to have our special guest join us for that special harvesting of the last 2 brown turkey figs. I am still short of figs, dehydrated figs for the recipe. Now, I was talking about the brown spots, the rust, the fig rust. Well, you can see there's some of that fig rust. Some of these leaves are starting to yellow under stress. And if you ever watched Phil's Figs, in fact, he just did a garden tour not too long ago, and he talked about how his trees were looking strong as well. And I was very excited because his looked a lot like mine. So we do just pull these off of here. I just drop them, chop and drop. The fig rust is a thing that infects them, and it is everywhere. It's not a thing of if it will get it, it's just a thing of when it will get it. And it gets it every year eventually. And if we keep it under control, I just come in here and I'll pull these leaves. If we get it under control, it will slow its progression. And that's really all we're looking for, is just a slowing of the progression. And of course, we had a guest, so we had to cut the grass. This looks so different, doesn't it? Last month, this grass was long. In fact, before I did it, this grass was very long. But we have our, what is this? This is our passion fruit, people. And look how tall it's getting. It has grown taller than me. This is the one on the north side of the trellis. It is looking strong. Those huge leaves are just absolutely amazing. I did clean out a bunch of the grass that was growing in these pots. I see there's still some over there. And being on video, of course, I am obligated to come in here and pull a few weeds just so people know that, yes, it is my garden and I'm allowed. There's a little bit of slug damage down there. I could spread some more slug repellent if I wanted to, but in all reality, from about here up, it's virtually untouched. I see another leaf right there that's got a little bite on it. And from there up, it looks good, so I'm not too worried. It's got plenty of leaves for plenty of development. The mint back here looks good. I did barely even touch this thing, and it's got a couple of grasses growing over it that I'll pull off occasionally. It's got a little bit of ivy growing over it, but this mint, this chocolate mint, is looking strong. This creeping cucumber is everywhere. Me and my backyard neighbor were talking about it, though. It's kind of neat how it fills in that fence all along here. It goes all the way back up there almost to the lemon. That's pretty neat. Of course, past the purple possum passion fruit, we have our jasmine trunk, and it's looking strong. Look at how thick these cords of vines are growing and wrapping around themselves and strengthening up. This thing is going to be amazing next year. I really cannot wait to see what this looks like. Oh, it's so beautiful already. Imagine it with all the white flowers. That's just going to be something else. Wood pile, of course, still nothing happening here. And of course, we have our solar weed sauna. And I stick my weeds that I pull in this bin right here. And about every 3 to 5 days, let's say, I will go in here and I'll take what's in here and I'll take it over to the compost bin. And this has been magic for my compost, because this has a tendency to keep any smells down in the compost. So I'm loving how this is working. And so, yes, I will come in here and flip this thing over, and boy, this gets hot. It's probably 160 degrees in here. Yeah, that burned my fingers and makes a little bit of trauma.
So go in here, flip this thing over every couple days, after a couple days in here, and then in a couple more days, it is ready to go into the compost. This is magic stuff, so stick around to the very end, because the last thing we talk about is the compost and what's going on over there. And we're looking here at the pumpkin patch. Now, the pumpkin patch does not look great for some reason, and I'm very happy about all the growth. I mean, these things have grown and grown and grown. I've been watering them. I think I need to up my watering game, because we're just not quite getting enough water anywhere in the garden. And so I'm thinking about adding a nighttime routine to where it gives just a bit more water to these things after the heat of the day. So we'll have to see how that goes. It does look like this vine right here. No, it's still growing good. Okay, that's actually quite good. And yes, I know it gets baked on this weed fabric. It does. And this is an experiment. I want to see what we can do for next year. One of the things I'm noticing though is this cardboard just sitting on top actually looks really good. It's been there for a month and a half now. I'm wondering if maybe I put cardboard on here because it's lighter, it wouldn't heat up things so much and it might do better. But it would. The challenge is that it might shed off too much water. It will soak through. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a good experiment for next year. Little peppermint plant in there that we planted up in the How to Grow Mint Responsibly video. And of course we come around here to the trees along the south side of the backyard. We have our pomegranate trees, 3 pomegranate trees. You'll notice all the suckers are off of them. They look beautiful. We still didn't get a lot of pomegranates from these because these are had been till this year the worst kept trees I owned. And so they just haven't done much. There's a few pomegranates on there. We might be able to harvest a few small ones before it's over with. But check out the lemon right here. Oh, I am so excited about this lemon, this one lemon right here. I am so excited that we have our first lemon since Christmas of 2022. So we've got lemon trees. We're going to be taking care of these here this winter and hopefully getting them ready for real production. Wouldn't that be awesome? Coming around the backside here, of course, we have our legacy rosemary plants. This is the plant that was planted by the owner of this property before me. That rosemary plant may be 20 years old. I don't know. And then here is my legacy comfrey plant right below it. This comfrey is the one that survived when I was killing off comfrey before I knew what it was, and I discovered this over here. I've been propagating it. That's how we have all the comfrey that we do have, and this plant will live on. So we do have, of course, these Everglades tomatoes growing up inside these pomegranate trees, and I still don't see any production. We have been having heat. As I mentioned at the beginning of the first part, we have our summer heat pattern, and it's been okay. It hasn't been as hot as last year, but it is not very conducive to producing tomatoes. I do see one small tomato right there. Look at there. That's the only thing I see, though. We might have a small in there. Once these things start producing, though, after the heat breaks, these Everglades are going to go nutso. We do have a lot of rosemary plants left over. These are the rosemary plants. There's a link up there to the video. We took 54 cuttings. I think I've already mentioned it. 54 cuttings of rosemary, and we made starts out of them. 45 of them have survived. A whole bunch of them are planted out. Now, folks, okay, we're going to get over there to that citronella. We talked about that on the show, that segment we did for another show. And that would be Enoch's show over on the Urban Gardener. We have a segment monthly on his monthly garden show. There's a link to the one where that citronella segment appeared. And we'll go around there in just a moment and see how those are doing. I'm very excited. It's been a couple of weeks, but we have here, there's 3 kale plants. I was talking about the kale plants in the front and side garden tour. Well, there's 3 of those kale plants that I planted from seeds from those plants. There's another 2 off in that tray there, but they are growing strong, looking good. I'm going to be planting these out when I get back from my next trip, which is a birthday trip for my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And we come around here to the rest of the south pot garden, and we've had a lot of clearing going on and a lot of not clearing going on. You can see that ground actually along these pots, which is very exciting. Dieties Bicolor. There are no flowers on this time of year, I don't believe. I don't see any. There is a lemon tree growing. and it looks like it's in a pot down there. It is not. It's actually contained with an empty bottom. The umbrella papyrus is almost as tall as I am. I did pull out one of the tomato plants that was growing here, but this thing is almost as tall as I am. Very excited about this. We need to find a solution. I was talking to Shawnee over at Shawnee Grows about how we can do a water feature where we can have our Dietes Bicolor down here and our umbrella papyrus thriving in a wet environment, because that's what they would prefer. They are in a pot that holds water a lot. They're also right below an irrigation head over there, so it does get well watered down here. Of course, we have spearmint, chocolate mint, our big huge aloe plant back here, which still has not been cared for, but you know what, it knows how to do what it's doing. It's doing just fine. And of course, we have our loquat trees, our 2 leftover loquat trees. I showed you that tray in the front and side garden tour of loquat trees that I planted like 2 years ago, and they kind of maintain the shape. Well, these are from that same batch, and they've been here 2 or 3 years. They're very small because they're kind of matching the size of the soil they have available, so they won't go big. Citronella cuttings, can you believe it? I don't know if you know which guest appeared in our garden yesterday. This is the one that he did up, and he kind of butchered it a little bit, but we're going to forgive him because he's new to citronella, I'm sure of it, and it's going to be just fine. I want to see how this does under his hands, because if it does better than mine, it's going to be a hard row to hoe. Anyway, yeah, these citronella are still just sturdy, standing straight up. Some of them have a little bit of browning, but like there's still new growth coming in right here, so I'm feeling very good about this. This is the other pineapple plant that I mentioned in the front and side garden tour, and it actually is not looking great down in the middle. In fact, it has some dying stuff going on in here. I think I messed this up, and I'm going to explain why. Actually, I think I may have gotten a pineapple that was too old when I did this, so we'll have to see if this totally fails. I suspect it will now. So before we talk about the compost, we have the southern magnolia tree on the south end. Now, interestingly enough, these things have been making occasional flowers, and they're very few and far between, but we have been having those wonderful white magnolia flowers on here, even in the heat of the summer. Still not touched the palm tree. It's hard to get my motivation back there. The compost. Now, folks, right now you can see I cut a whole lot of grass. There's a lot of grass clippings on top of here. If I go down far enough, you'll see there is a layer down here of stuff, of browns that I got out of the solar weed sauna. Now, grass, when you first cut it, it's a green. And I put a lot of green in here, though you will notice there are a lot of leaves in here. So that's the great thing about the magnolias and the American sycamore. It does balance out the grass cuttings some, not enough. And so I'm always looking for more browns. Well, that's what this layer is from the solar weed sauna. When you stick it, this green stuff, in the solar weed sauna, turn it brown, no longer is it a green, it is a brown. And that brown is magic when it comes down to getting rid of smell and displeasurable things in your compost, because it will help neutralize those. It acts as a desiccant to keep the moisture down. It soaks up the aromas. It creates a place where rodents do not feel so driven to dig down to. And we put kitchen scraps in here. I will use the pitchfork right here. I will dig a hole down about 6 inches, drop a whole bucket of kitchen scraps in there, cover it over. As long as it's at least about 6 inches, my compost does great. I have never seen clear evidence of a rodent like a rat digging in these. They seem to avoid this. I know raccoons have actually walked over the pile, but I've never seen any of them dig. So browns, people, got to work on those browns. And so that's the outer garden bed tour for the backyard for July of 2025. I did want to show you one more thing. If y'all remember when we built this, I had a whole bunch of these bins of leaves that I got from that property I cleared. Well, this is one of those bins. In fact, about a foot down, there's a lot of leaves down in here. Woo, maybe 18 inches down. But I had so much grass that I cut for yesterday's visit from our guest that I had to stow some of it in here. It's okay, because it will eventually all go into here as this pile sinks. It looks like a lot right now. This is going to start sinking. In fact, it's already sunk about 6 inches just in 48 hours. So this is going to be just fine, and I'll be putting this on top of it, and we'll keep adding to it so that next year we have that right there, the black gold that we want, that makes your plants go nuts. And that's most of the feed I do. Now, to our guest, I will tell you, we were discussing compost and overthinking fertilizing the garden, and I do add 2 other feeds. I add a little bit of Dr. Earth's tomato veg and tomato fertilizer. Here's a picture of it if I can find it. And I do add some of this to my early plantings when I'm planting them out, because that helps with the root and leaf development. And then I will change to a Spoma tomato tone, and I will occasionally, generally twice, maybe 3 times if I'm feeling ultra enthusiastic, I will add Spoma tomato tone to any plants that look like they might be struggling. Those peppers over there, you'll see those in the raised garden bed tour. They are not struggling. They are thriving. They are looking awesome. So I will be recording the raised garden bed tour after my trip when I get back, and we will get moving on this month. Hopefully we get just a little bit earlier this month and try to make things happen. I am so happy you were able to walk along with me on this outer garden bed tour. I appreciate you watching. Also appreciate you commenting and tell me how your garden is going. If you have any questions, please ask questions in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer. And if I don't know, I can tell you who does. And I might even ask a pro. I do want to remind you to use the links down in the description for our Amazon links. We do get a small commission if you use those links to go to Amazon and then do your regular Amazon purchases. We get a small commission off of those sales. So please use those links and help us stay sponsored in that area. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and get your notifications when we have more stuff coming out. We do these garden tours every single month. We've been doing this over 4 years now, and I enjoy sharing my garden and having you walk along with me. Thank you for that. Thank you for enjoying my imperfect garden. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Even if it's just a single plant in a pot, you can garden anywhere. Hey, have a blessed day.